Unexpected turn. Wife discovers millionaire husband with mistress, revealing life-changing truths. Emily had always believed in the American dream. With her uniform hugging her like a second skin, she rushed through the hospital halls, her heart racing as the clock ticked. It was Saturday evening, and while she had dedicated her life to saving others, tonight was about celebrating her perfect family with her husband Jacob. They had it all. A cozy suburban home outside Chicago, a 10-year-old son playing Little League, and a solid routine filled with church services and neighborhood barbecues. But beneath the thrill of those well-rehearsed family moments lay an undeniable tension as she pulled into the restaurant's parking lot. The kind of anticipation that filled her belly was muted by a sudden urge to stop by the upscale bar just 2 blocks away. She wanted to buy Jacob a special gift before their anniversary dinner. When she walked through the heavy glass doors, the low hum of jazz wrapped around her like a warm embrace. But then she found herself freezing. Jacob was there, laughing carelessly with a stunning woman who shimmered in the low light like champagne. Emily's heart squeezed painfully in her chest. The way he gazed at her ignited an inferno of sorrow and anger. The betrayal crashed over her like a tidal wave, drowning her in confusion and disbelief. Their perfect life, their perfect image, was it all a mirage? Suddenly, everything she had built began to unravel. The tears burned in her eyes, her vision fogging as she stumbled back to her car, gasping for breath. The weight of his infidelity hung heavy, echoing in her mind, the words love and loyalty, twisted into a cruel punchline she could not embrace. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into long weeks soaked in turmoil. The whispers in her community were a mixture of compassion and judgment. Neighbors rallied offering lasagna, kind words and arms to lean on. While meeting for coffee, she discovered others wrestling with their struggles beneath the surface, their own stories of hidden cracks showcasing the fragility of life. But with their stories came painful questions. Could she possibly forgive Jacob? Should she fight for what they had built? Fierce determination ignited within her, driving Emily to reclaim the life she thought she lost. The superficiality of wealth began to crumble in her view, as genuine connections formed with the women who bonded through shared hardships. They were a sisterhood of resilience, and Emily found strength in solidarity, each shared laugh a balm for wounds unseen. But just as she began to find her footing, a familiar voice pierced the calm of her newfound independence. Jacob came back, begging for forgiveness, drowning her in promises of honesty and love. The grip of family loyalty tightened around her heart, but so did her resolve. She had to ask herself, was their dream worth more than her own integrity? The tension hung in the air, thick enough to cut. As she closed her eyes, wondering what her heart truly wanted, a knock echoed throughout her home, leaving her breathless and uncertain. Emily hesitated, her heart pounding against her ribcage as the knock resonated throughout the house. It was as if each thud carried the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions. Jacob stood silently beside her, an unfamiliar tension wrapped around him like a suffocating blanket. She glanced at him, searching for a hint of what to do next, but his expression was inscrutable, an unreadable mask hiding the man she thought she knew. Another knock echoed, louder this time. She felt frozen in place, torn between the unwavering loyalty that tethered her to Jacob and the fierce need to confront the unknown reality waiting just outside. She stepped toward the door, her fingers brushing against the cool metal of the doorknob. Inhaling deeply, trying to summon the courage that flickered like an old light bulb, she turned the knob and pulled the door open. Standing there was Lily, a woman she knew well from the neighborhood. Her eyes flashed with surprise, confusion lining her delicate features. "Emily, I didn't expect to see you tonight." Emily studied her for a moment, noting the worry etched on Lily's face. It was an expression that mirrored her own internal turmoil. "What's wrong?" she asked, feeling the instinct to protect shift into a more profound concern. "I came to tell you something." "It's about Jacob," Lily stammered, shifting nervously. The air grew thick with impending doom. and Emily felt as if the world was tilting beneath her. What about him? The challenge in her tone surprised her. She seemed to barely know the woman she was becoming, but all the hurt coiled tightly inside her, needing an outlet. Lily stepped forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. I saw him last week at that bar. It's worse than you think. I promised I wouldn't say anything, but I can't keep watching you get hurt. Every word hit Emily like a jolt of electricity. Her heart raced, the flutter of hope crashing into the reality of betrayal. Worse? How could it possibly be worse? He was with someone else again, but this time it was different. With each revelation, the walls built around Emily started to crack. Her thoughts spiraled, weaving in and out of disbelief and fury. Truth crashed down around her, scattering the fragmented pieces of her heart. Emily's hands balled into fists. The undeniable fact that Jacob was not only unfaithful but reckless, with her heart slammed against reality. She had fought through the agony of betrayal once, but now she was teetering on the edge of a decision that could change everything. As darkness loomed, she realized she stood at a precipice. If she acted, it could ignite a firestorm in her life, one that would leave her homeless in a different way. Yet, staying quiet meant shackling her heart to the very man who had betrayed her. Gathering her composure, Emily turned back to Jacob, who now stood cast in shadow, gripping the doorway as if afraid to step into the light. I need to know everything, she declared, her voice strong despite the tremor betraying her. No more secrets, no more lies. Jacob's eyes widened, and in that moment, she felt the world shift once again. A reckoning was on the horizon, and its storm threatened to break, revealing truths Emily never expected to face. And as she prepared for his response, she wondered whether this would be the moment that changed their lives forever or the one that shattered everything completely. Jacob's breath caught in his throat, and for an instant, the air crackled with unspoken words. Emily could see the gears turning in his mind. Each second felt like an eternity as he searched for a response, something profound enough to bridge the chasm that had suddenly widened between them. Emily, he started, but the words faltered, the weight of his reality pressing down on him. That split second felt like the last moment before everything ended, and Emily's heart raced. The vulnerability in Jacob's eyes ignited something deep within her. Could he still feel remorse? Or was he calculating how to twist the truth to shield himself yet again? Just tell me the truth, she urged, a mix of desperation and anger lacing her voice. Lily, wouldn't he have come here if it were nothing? Jacob took a step forward, but she held her ground, refusing to let him close the gap with charm or well-practiced apologies. He inhaled deeply, as if summoning the courage he lacked before. Last week I was at that bar. I know what Lily told you. She didn't see the whole picture. What does that even mean? Emily pressed, every nerve in her body ablaze. Was there someone else? Was it just drinks? Or something worse? The air around them felt hot and charged. Jacob's face distorted with remorse, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of something genuine beneath the surface. There was someone, he admitted, the words hanging like lead in the room. But it wasn't he what you think. He paused, biting his lip as if tasting the enormity of the words. Emily's heart clenched. Maybe there was a way to salvage whatever was left of them. But the thought felt fragile, and grief washed over her like an icy wave. Jacob, she said, her voice low and steady, you need to be honest with me. I can't hold on to you if your truth is painful. He looked at her, uncertainty clouding his gaze. It's complicated. She works with me. Just happened. What exactly happened? She and I had drinks. I let my guard down. But I didn't sleep with her. I swear. We talked about work, about everything, the pressure I've been feeling, how lonely it feels, he muttered, his voice trembling slightly. Emily felt as if the ground beneath her was giving way. She had expected infidelity, but this was a different kind of betrayal. It felt like a confession crafted to manipulate rather than heal. Lonely? She echoed, incredulous. Lonely enough to find comfort in another woman? How can you say that to me when I have been right here? I wasn't being fair to you. I know that now. Heavy regret lined his words, but Emily could feel the defense taking root again. Do you even understand how much you've hurt me? She whispered, feeling the tears pushing against the surface. You had the chance to come to me, and you didn't. Jacob took another step forward, searching her face. I'm sorry, Emily. I should have been honest. I should have talked to you instead of hiding behind drinks and temptation. Their eyes locked, and for a brief moment, Emily almost wanted to believe him. But the scars of deception ran too deep, and her heart couldn't pretend it didn't feel the weight of betrayal. Lying is easier than facing the truth, isn't it? It's why you kept pushing it all down, isn't it? She accused, not out of anger but from a deep sorrow. Emily, please. Let us find a way back. But his plea fell like a rock into turbulent waters, creating ripples of uncertainty. Could they repair this? Could they dive deeper into the shadows of their lives without risking losing each other entirely? Emily shook her head, feeling the fracture within her. I don't know if we can. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Yet, deep down she realized it was not just about saving what they had. It was about understanding what they could become, or if it was even worth fighting for. As a storm brewed within her, she wondered what would come next. Would confronting these uncharted waters bring the closure they both desperately needed? Or would it lead to an end she feared to confront? In that heavy moment, the question sat like a shadow hanging above them both. What would the truth actually cost? The silence was suffocating, stretching into the spaces between them, amplified by the weight of unshared fears. Emily turned away, breaking their gaze, overwhelmed. A part of her wanted to scream, to lash out at the injustice of it all. The other part just needed to breathe. What do you want from me, Jacob? She asked, her voice trembling. It was a plea wrapped in confusion, uncertainty begging for clarity. Do you want forgiveness? Do you want things to go back to how they were? Jacob leaned against the wall, his shoulders slumping as if each of her words physically struck him. I want you to understand, he replied, pain lacing his tone. I want another chance. Her heart raced, but not for the reasons he hoped. The idea of forgiveness felt heavy and awkward, like an old pair of shoes that no longer fit. Understanding what? How you sought consolation in someone else's company. How can I trust that you'll be different this time? He took a step closer, desperation flickering in his eyes. I've made mistakes, Emily, but please believe me when I say I never meant to hurt you. I'm trying to change. Trying to become someone worthy of your trust. Worthy? The word dropped like a stone. You want to be worthy, but look where that's taken us. Look at what you've done. Her voice rose, tears finally spilling over. But they weren't just from sorrow, they were from anger. Anger at the situation, anger at herself for caring so fiercely. Jacob's face twisted as if the words had physically wounded him. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. Let us fight for this. For us. Fight for what? She challenged, wiping her tears on the back of her hand. Trust is already lost, Jacob. You say you're sorry, but we both know that in those moments of loneliness, you felt alive again. You found comfort where you shouldn't have. The air felt charged again. Every heartbeat screamed for clarity, and every second pulled them deeper into the murky waters of doubt. What if the truth isn't as simple as what we're seeing? He said quietly, his voice thick with regret. What if we're both running from ourselves? She shook her head, feeling her heart fracture. And what if we don't run? What if we stand still in this pain? I'd rather run. I don't know if I can handle any more of this. Jacob's eyes widened, and disbelief etched itself on his face. You want to walk away? Just like that? The thought clung to her like a weightless shadow. I don't want to, but what choice do I have? You've pushed me to this point. His expression softened, a flicker of understanding crossing his features. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to escape the pressure. But I see now that I should have turned to you, not away. The truth began to sting. The thought of leaving everything felt unthinkable, but so did staying. With each moment passing, she could feel an invisible thread straining between them, barely holding on. Maybe, Emily hesitated, her voice threatening to crack. Maybe if I can find a way to process this, we can see what remains. But it will take time. Time I'm not sure we have. Just as his face brightened, a new uncertainty flickered in her heart. You say that, but underneath it all, will you actually fight for me? Or will you run again when things get tough? He took a deep breath, the challenge clear in his eyes. I'll fight, Emily. I'll prove it to you. But we need to be open, no more shadows. Only the truth. Their gazes met, and a wave of uncertainty swept through her. Could they navigate this new reality together? Or would honesty become yet another burden too heavy to bear? As she stood there, the weight of the question pressed down on her, echoing the turmoil within. Would they find the courage to face not just their relationship, but their fears? The fork in the road lay before them, and their next steps would define the path ahead. With that uncertainty looming, her heart thudded with both hope and trepidation. They were on the precipice of a truth that could either bind them together or tear them apart. What revelation awaited them that might change everything? Emily took a deep breath, her chest rising and falling as she fought against the tide of emotions swirling inside her. The truth rested like a rock at the bottom of her heart, heavy and cold. She looked at Jacob, searching for any sign of the man she once believed he was. "Do you see this?" she said, her hand gesturing between them. "It's like standing on a cliff, and I can't see what's below. I don't know if it's worth the fall." Jacob stepped closer, launching himself into the chasm of vulnerability. "Maybe it's time to jump," he whispered, the earnestness in his voice breaking through the silence. "Not away from each other but into honesty. We owe ourselves that much." Could she do this? Emily felt the twinge of possibility pulling her in. She had loved him fiercely once. That love seemed distant now, buried beneath betrayal and hurt. Still, she could sense something was shifting, a fragile hope stirring within her. "What would that look like?" she asked, her voice barely escaping her lips. "It means sharing everything. Not just the good but all the ugly pieces too, the pain, the fears, the doubts." He paused, his eyes darkening. "I don't want to hide anymore. No more secrets." Emily swallowed hard, her throat dry. No more secrets. The thought was daunting yet liberating. "You think it's that simple?" He nodded. "No, I know it's not. But I'll try if you will. I want to face this with you no matter how hard it gets." The tension in the air felt different now. It was charged with something more than hurt. It was a quiet promise, almost a pact. She wanted to believe him, needed to believe there was a way through the storm. But how could she? "Let us do it then," she said softly, the resolve tightening her spine. "But you need to know this journey will challenge us both. If we dig up the past, it could get messy." "Good," Jacob replied, a flicker of relief washing over his features. "Maybe messy is exactly what we need. We can't grow in silence." She stared into his eyes, trying to decipher the depth of his sincerity. There was a glimmer of vulnerability there, mixed with the weight of regret. Together, they ventured into uncharted territory, guided only by resolution and a flicker of hope as they sat side by side on the edge of the bed, the atmosphere thick with the ghost of their pain. Emily felt a connection that had been dormant for so long. It felt fragile, as if the slightest breeze could shatter it, but it was undeniably there. "What if the truth is too painful? What if there are things I don't want to hear?" she asked, her heart pounding against her ribcage. Jacob turned to face her fully, determination written all over his features. "Then we face them together. You deserve to feel safe to express everything." The sincerity in his voice made her ache. Slowly, she nodded, steeling herself for the emotional excavation ahead. "All right then. Let us start." It felt like they were stripping away the layers, peeling back the history they had built on mistrust and fear. "Can we begin with your affair?" Emily asked, her voice trembling slightly. The words tasted bitter in her mouth, yet it was a necessary step to ascend into their truth. His jaw tightened, and for a moment, he was silent. "I was lost, Emily. I thought I could fill an emptiness that I hadn't recognized was inside me. I never expected to hurt you." Tears welled in her eyes as he spoke, and with each revelation, a part of their wall began to crack. They were walking a tightrope now, teetering between the pain of the past and the potential of healing. But as she watched the weight of Jacob's guilt settle on his shoulders, another thought crept into her mind. Could they really confront their demons together? What if, in digging, they unearthed a truth so painful it shattered any hope of healing? There was no turning back now. With her heart racing, she whispered, "What else have you been hiding?" His hesitation sent a chill down her spine. The layer she had just peeled back felt fragile, and its shadow loomed larger than ever. Would it be the truth that saved them or the final blow that shattered their fragile bond forever? Jacob's gaze faltered, a storm brewing in his eyes. The moment hung like a thread, thin and precarious. Emily could see the struggle but also the fear of the path that lay ahead. She waited, her breath held tight in her chest, as if the very air around them had thickened with expectation. There is more, he finally admitted, the tremor in his voice shattering her tenuous hope. It's not just the affair. There are things about my life, about my choices that I haven't shared with you. The words hit her like a cold wave. What do you mean? She demanded, her pulse quickening. She could feel her heart racing faster, a visceral reaction to the uncertainty that threatened to swallow them both. Jacob leaned back slightly, as if needing to gain distance before spilling more of his truth. Before we got married, I was involved in some business dealings. They weren't exactly legal. Emily's world began to tilt. Are you saying you've been lying about your past? All these years? He nodded slowly, glancing away as shame clouded his features. I got tangled up in things I never thought I would. The kind of things I thought I could walk away from once I met you. I wanted to create a new life, a clean slate. And you thought keeping those things from me was the way to do that? My God, Jacob. She pushed herself off the bed, her emotions escalating. Do you seriously think that would ever work? Tears brimmed in her eyes, a mixture of betrayal and disbelief. She had invested everything into their life together, only to find it layered with falsehood. The weight of his secret felt like a lead balloon, dragging her down as she grappled with the enormity of it all. I never wanted to drag you into my mess, Em. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? She echoed, voice rising in disbelief. This whole time you thought lying was protecting me? You were playing God with our lives, Jacob. This isn't just about your mistakes. It's about our life together. He stepped forward, urgency lacing his movements. I know. But there are other outcomes I was afraid of. If you knew, you might not have married me. You might have walked away. I couldn't face that. Instead, you decided to keep a million secrets instead. Emily felt the hot sting of betrayal blaze in her chest. What else have you been hiding? He bowed his head, the weight of regret pressing heavily on him. There are debts, Em. It's not just the business ventures, they spiraled out of control. I thought I had it handled, but I was wrong. Now there are people involved. Important people who won't just let this go. People. She felt the blood drain from her face, consumed by a mix of indignation and fear. What does that mean? Are you in danger? With every fiber of her being, she braced herself for his answer, every second stretching painfully long. Jacob's eyes flickered, revealing the depths of his turmoil. I might be, but it doesn't have to involve you. I swear I will protect you from this. Protect me? She scoffed, feeling the dizziness of a sinking ship. You're the reason I need protection. The room seemed to cave in around them, suffocating her with the layers of unearthed truths. Anger bubbling beneath the surface. All the emotions piled on top of one another, chaotic and wild. She felt as if the ground beneath her had split wide open as the reality of their situation slammed down on her. Emily took a step back, needing to process the chaos that Jacob's words brought forth. The chasm between them felt insurmountable now, layered with secrets and the threat that could shatter their world. Emily, please listen. Jacob's voice was raw with desperation, but she had to make a decision. Was this the moment she could reconcile with his past? Did the possibility of their future lie buried under a mountain of lies? Her heart raced as she stared at Jacob, caught in a storm of turmoil. What do we do now? She whispered, her voice breaking under the weight of possibility. She could feel the threat of the unknown looming overhead. Could their fragile bond withstand this new darkness? Emily's mind churned with confusion and fury. She wanted answers, but all she felt was betrayal coiling tighter around her heart. Jacob was more than just a husband now. He was a walking contradiction, a man she barely recognized. The flicker of light she'd once seen in him had dimmed, replaced by shadows that wrapped around their love like barbed wire. I need you to tell me everything, she said, grounding herself in the moment. Her voice shook, but she refused to let it overwhelm her. No more secrets, Jacob. What else is there? He ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched across his features. I was desperate, Em. I thought if I kept quiet it would all just go away. But it didn't. It only got worse. Worse? She raised her eyebrows, incredulous. How can it possibly be worse than this? He drew a deep breath, the weight of what he was about to say clinging to him like a cloud of regret. There are people looking for me. They want their money, and the debts I thought I could manage? They've become unmanageable. There are threats, Em. Threats that I thought I could shield you from. Threats? Are you serious? Panic washed over her, a cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. What kind of threats? He took a step closer, gripping her shoulders gently. I don't want to frighten you, but they're serious. If I don't pay, I could end up in a world of trouble. And if you're connected to me... His voice faded, leaving an unspoken horror hanging in the air. Emily shook her head, disbelief solidifying into anger. You've dragged me into this mess. I'm already connected, Jacob, whether you wanted it or not. This isn't some secret you can just bury. His eyes darkened, a tempest brewing within. I know. That's why I wanted to protect you. I thought I could fix it before it ever touch you. But it's out of control. Her pulse roared in her ears, but beneath the anger, heavy confusion wrestled with fear. What do you mean fix it? Run away. Start over. No, Jacob pleaded. I don't want to leave. I want to stay and face this. Together. But his voice softened, sincerity lacing his words. I'm asking you to trust me. Please. Trust. The words sliced through her, cutting to the bone of their relationship. Could she truly place her faith in a man who had surrounded their life with deceit? This isn't just about you anymore, Jacob, she said, her voice low, stealing her resolve. This is about us, about our future. I know. His expression shifted, a vulnerability now shining through. I never meant for this to happen. I thought I could outrun the past. But now it's here, and it wants to take everything from us. Emily turned away, pacing the small space, her heart a tumult of emotions. She could feel panic creeping into her veins, but it was the thought of losing everything they built that terrified her more. What lay ahead was dark and uncertain, but she also felt the flicker of hope. Could their love withstand a storm? Could they stand united against the shadows he had brought into their life? Okay, she finally said, the word escaping her lips like a fragile promise. What's the plan? How do we confront this? Jacob's eyes sparkled with a mixture of relief and fear. We go to the people I owe money to. We face them together. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Starting with them. As the words hung in the air, the weight of their decision settled in the room like a leaden shroud. They were stepping into dangerous waters, and Emily's heart raced at the thought. But deep down, there lingered a fierce need to reclaim the life that had been so brutally shaken. Together then, she whispered, half to herself. But a new thought struck her, one that froze her in place. What if facing them only made things worse? What if this was a tipping point towards an even darker fate? She met Jacob's gaze, uncertainty lurking beneath her resolve. What if they want more than just money? She whispered, her heart pounding with the fast-approaching reality. Would this journey push them further apart? Or would it redefine their love in ways she couldn't yet imagine? The question hung in the air, foreboding yet strangely exhilarating. As Emily felt the grip of fear and determination intertwining, she knew this was just the beginning of a battle that would test everything. Emily's heart raced as she faced Jacob, the weight of their conversation pressing heavily against her. The air in the room felt thick, almost suffocating, and the uncertainty wrapped around them like a dark cloud. Look, I know I didn't handle this well, Jacob started, his voice trembling slightly. But I can't lose you, Em. You mean everything to me. Her breath hitched, his vulnerability opening a crack in her walls. Yet the hurt and betrayal pooled inside her, a storm waiting to erupt. Do you really understand what you're asking? Do you know what trusting you again means, considering everything that's at stake? I do, he said, stepping closer. That's why we need to act fast. If I can negotiate with them, we can fix this. I promise I'll do whatever it takes. With each step he took, dread sank deeper into her stomach. And what if your negotiation doesn't go the way you plan? What if they're not interested in talking? His eyes darted around, as if he were trying to find an answer in the shadows. Then we figure it out. Trust me, I wouldn't put you in danger if I didn't believe we could get through this. She felt tears of frustration beginning to blur her vision. It's not just about you believing, Jacob. What about my safety? What about our lives? You can't just pretend it's all going to be okay. Then let us make it okay, he said softly, reaching for her hand. His touch sent a jolt through her, a mix of warmth and trepidation. Remember when we faced setbacks before? We always found a way through, didn't we? But this is different, she whispered, pulling her hand back. You didn't just lose money. You might lose your freedom, and I could lose so much more. The silence that followed felt like an eternity, the unspoken gravity of their choices hanging heavily in the air. Emily's mind flickered with memories of their happiest moments, laughter, shared dreams, the life they once built together. Those days felt distant now, overshadowed by his confession. "We need to protect ourselves," she finally said. "I can't just grab a shovel and dig us out of this mess, Jacob. I need to know the full truth. What exactly are we dealing with?" His expression shifted, the confident facade crumbling as uncertainty crept back in. "I don't know how to tell you." He started looking down, avoiding her gaze. "What do you mean?" Panic twisted inside her, her mind racing, imagining the worst. "I didn't just borrow money. I got involved with the wrong people. People who don't let things slide." He took a deep breath, his face pale. "I kind of made some bad decisions regarding what I thought was just business. And they want their investments back. And if I don't deliver well, let us just say I'm not in the best company right now." The pieces of his dark world began to click into place for Emily, each revelation shattering her confidence. "You're in debt to criminals, Jacob? How far have you let this go?" His eyes pooled with regret, and a heaviness filled the room. "I thought I could manage it, but then it got beyond me. I thought if I kept things quiet it would resolve itself. I didn't want to burden you." "Burden me?" she echoed, her voice rising in anger and disappointment. "You've put me deep into danger without my consent. You were supposed to protect me. I did this because I love you," he shouted back, desperation creeping into his tone. I thought I could keep it from ever touching you. By lying to me?" The tears fell freely now, each drop a testament to broken trust. How can love be built on lies? Her heart ached with the realization that his love, however intense, now felt tainted. Please," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "If you just let me fix this, I swear I can find a way out of this." Something in his plea brought a flicker of doubt to her mind. Could she really go along with this plan? Could they brave the storm that loomed ahead together, despite the wreckage Jacob had left in his wake? The tensions were rising, but as fear gnawed at her heart, another thought twinged at her gut. Was there truly a way out? Could they emerge from this darkness and reach the light again? "No more secrets," she said firmly, the decision dawning upon her. "From here on I want all of it. I'll decide if I can stand by you if you can show me who you truly are now. No more hiding." Jacob nodded, but the doubt in his eyes told Emily that their journey was only just beginning. As they both stood there awkward and afraid, the next step loomed larger than life. What awaited them felt uncertain, but one thing remained. She couldn't turn back now, not when the shadows were just starting to gather. "Promise me, Jacob." "No more lies," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath. As he opened his mouth to respond, their world shifted. The front door banged open, the echo of heavy footsteps crashing through their fragile moment like an unstoppable wave. "Jacob!" a rough voice shouted, sending ice through her veins. Emily's heart dropped. Who was at the door and what did they want? Emily's breath hitched as she turned towards the door, her heart pounding in her chest. The heavy footsteps grew louder, each thump echoing like a warning bell. Jacob's face paled as he glanced at her, his eyes wide with panic. "Stay behind me," he whispered, uncertainty shadowing his features. Before Emily could fully process his words, a tall figure entered the room, filling the doorway with an unsettling presence. The man was rugged, with a sharp jaw and intensity in his eyes that sent shivers down her spine. There was an energy about him, a certain menace that felt all too real. "Jacob," the man spat, his voice low and gravelly. "We need to talk." "Leo," Jacob replied, his voice strained as he tried to put authority back in the room. "What are you doing here?" "You know damn well why I'm here," Leo shot back, taking a step forward. "You think you can just disappear and leave all this behind?" Emily's mind raced, the pieces of Jacob's mess swirling around like a storm. Who was this Leo? What did he want from Jacob? "What do you want?" she found herself asking, her voice shaky yet defiant. Leo turned towards her, a smirk playing at the corner of his lips. "Ah, the girlfriend," he said with disdain, not bothering to hide the impatience in his tone. "You might want to get comfortable. This involves you now too." Jacob moved in front of her, his posture protective. "This isn't her business, Leo. You want to talk, we can do this alone." "Not a chance," Leo replied, his voice turning cold. "She's neck deep in this now. You think everything will blow over?" You owe money, Jacob, and I'm not talking about pocket change. It's time you face reality. Emily felt the heat rising to her cheeks, anger mixing with fear. Did he think she was going to just stand there and let this man intimidate them? You don't have to threaten us, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. We're willing to work with you to find a solution. Jacob shot her a look, his eyes wide, but she pressed on, refusing to back down. Leo chuckled, savoring the tension. You're cute, but this isn't a negotiation. You can't just sweet-talk your way out of this. The money is due and we both know the clock is ticking. What do you mean by that? Jacob's voice was low, almost a growl. Leo took another step forward, closing the distance. If you don't deliver by the end of the week, I'll have to make things unpleasant. You know how this works. Emily felt a chill spread through her, the air thickening with the weight of his words. The end of the week? That left them with barely any time. Her thoughts raced, and dread tangled with desperation. What can we do? She finally said, her pulse quickening. Leo shrugged, an unsettling grin spreading across his face. Well, that's up to your boyfriend. He could come up with the cash, or we could find another way, a little favor in return. Jacob tensed beside her, his expression darkening. You're not touching her. She could sense the battle beneath the surface, just beneath Jacob's bravado, the fear and resolve twisting together like a knot in her gut. Was she really getting dragged into this mess? Let me think, Leo sneered, his eyes glinting with amusement. I guess we could always put that no more secrets promise to the test. Huh? What would you do to save him? The question hung in the air like a heavy weight, and Emily's heart sank. How far was she willing to go? What kind of price was she willing to pay? A week, Jacob. A week to get the money or figure something out. But trust me, I'll be back, Leo said, stepping back to the door. He paused, his gaze flicking between them, satisfaction gleaming. And don't think you have a choice now, sweetheart. You'll find out just how much love means when danger is involved. With that, he walked out, leaving a thick silence echoing in his wake. The enormity of their situation crashed down on Emily, panic swelling in her chest. She turned to Jacob, his face taut with tension. Did you hear that? She demanded, barely able to contain herself. What are we going to do? Jacob looked lost, a million thoughts racing through his mind, but one thing was clear. They had a week, only 7 days to find a way out. As the shadows deepened around them, one thought pierced through her mind. Could they really escape this? Her heart raced, but this was only the beginning. Would they unravel the truth in time? Or would everything slip away? How deep did Jacob's betrayal run? And what would it take to bring them back from the brink? The clock was ticking, and their world had just turned upside down. Emily stood there, hands trembling by her sides, as the weight of the world crashed down on her shoulders. The universe felt heavy, like an anchor dragging her deeper into despair. She turned to Jacob, searching his eyes for any semblance of hope. We can't let it end like this, she urged, her voice cracking. We can't be trapped in this nightmare. Jacob clenched his fists, his face lined with worry, yet there was something else, a flicker of determination sparking in his eyes. He took a deep breath. We'll find a way, I promise, he said, the strength in his voice laced with fear but also resolve. We'll do whatever it takes to fix this. A sense of urgency bloomed in Emily's chest, igniting a fire. We need a plan, she insisted. We need to face these people head-on. We can't let them dictate our lives. Jacob nodded, his gaze steady for a moment before it faltered. I know my mistakes have brought us here, but we can pull ourselves out. Together, he said, as if reassuring both her and himself. Let us gather whatever resources we have and reach out to people we trust. We'll create a safety net. Women from the sisterhood of her community flooded her mind, the women who had given her strength through their own struggles. I could reach out to Lily and some others, she suggested, biting her lip. They might know something or even have connections. Good idea, Jacob agreed, his stance slowly shifting as the weight of their situation began to lift just a little. We can't be ashamed of needing help. We can't let pride drown us. Emily reached for Jacob's hand, intertwining their fingers as if sensing the necessity of unity. Their world had spun out of control, but here they were, standing together against the onslaught of shadows. Let us get to work, she said, her heart swelling with a newfound purpose. No longer fleeing or falling victim to fear, but instead rising up together. Hours turned into tense meetings, phone calls, and late-night brainstorming sessions fueled by iced coffee and whispered confessions. Each conversation brought little pieces of clarity. They'd reach out to Lily and a few others, forming a tight web of support. At first, there were hesitations, a lingering doubt clinging like smoke in the air. But Emily's courage began to embolden others, and their community rallied up. By the time they prepared to face Leo again, they had a solid plan. However, a sense of unease still lurked within Emily. "This won't be easy, Jacob," she reminded him, her heart pounding against her ribs. "I know," he replied, looking resolute, "but we'll face it together. This is our life. That means something." The night arrived. The clock was ticking, their deadline looming over them like a storm cloud. As they stood at the front door, a mix of fear and anticipation churned in their stomachs. Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. "Remember what we talked about, no more hiding?" Jacob nodded, understanding the stakes had never been higher. "Whatever happens, we stick together. We tell them everything." They walked into the meeting as if they were entering a battlefield. In front of them, Leo lounged in a chair, his smirk sly. "Well, well," he said, eyes gleaming with mischief, "look who it is. Ready to play?" Emily squeezed Jacob's hand, their combined strength pulsating through the air. Together they laid out their plan to negotiate, revealing every hidden truth, every fear, and the realities of their situation. The room bristled with tension. Leo's laughter faded, replaced by an interested stare. He leaned forward, intrigued. "So you've come to bargain, huh? I must say that's bold of you." Jacob responded with a steady voice, "We're not afraid of you anymore. We'll find a way to settle this. And if it means working out terms, we're willing to collaborate." At that moment, Emily felt the solidarity of their partnership enveloping her, a warmth of hope igniting their shared purpose. With calculated back and forth, they listened to Leo's demands, but they held their ground. With every concession made, each strategic point redirected, the landscape of the negotiation shifted. Weeks of planning, trust building, and community support had empowered them to confront their perilous reality head-on. As they walked out of that meeting, the sun broke free from the horizon, pouring golden light through the clouds. Emily couldn't help but let a tear slide down her cheek, not from sorrow but from relief. They had stared down the darkness and emerged together. "Whatever happens next, we can face it. Just remember," Jacob said, brushing the back of her hand with his thumb, "we're in this together now. No more secrets." She nodded, feeling a swell of emotion. Their journey wasn't over, but they had confronted the tempest. In that moment, hope blossomed, a new beginning rising from the ashes of their fragmented past. Together, Emily echoed softly, looking into Jacob's eyes, "That's all that matters." And as they walked hand in hand toward the dawn, she knew authentic love is not about perfection, but about facing the storms and holding on to one another even tighter through every crash and roar. So, dear friends, if you found inspiration in this story, do not wait. Subscribe immediately to our channel. You need to be part of our amazing community and witness these exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make a difference. Comment your feelings about this ending. Share your thoughts on resilience and hope. And hurry, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second. Your engagement matters.